New rumors are now pointing towards Kevin Durant possibly coming back to the Golden State Warriors after the Suns got swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round of the NBA playoffs. I'm Allie Barefoot on Warriors Today by Chat Sports. We're going to be talking about what it would look like if Kevin Durant did come back to the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to give my opinion on this take because this has been circulating for the last 5 seasons since Kevin Durant left. Whether that was a mistake or not is what we're going to talk about here, but new reports are coming out that Kevin Durant was unhappy with his role with 2 superstars in Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, and the reason why they didn't make it past the first round, well, Kevin Durant could be at the root of it all. So with that being said, I'm just going to start this show off by asking you guys, first and foremost, do you even want Kevin Durant back on the Golden State Warriors? We know what he did with the Warriors back in 2016 through 2018, but a lot has changed since that's happened. So just go on ahead, comment why or why not you'd be willing to put Kevin Durant back in a Warriors uniform while I break down and refresh your memory what Kevin Durant did in a Warriors uniform. A 2-time NBA champion in 2017-2018. He was also a 2-time NBA Finals MVP, which is still crazy to think, having players on your team like peak Klay Thompson, peak Steph Curry, and you're still winning NBA Finals MVP over those players. Obviously, he's still one of a kind. But he did tear his Achilles in the 2019 NBA Finals, which of course did lead them to possibly not get that three-peat, and then he was traded that following season. And once again, breaking down a little bit further here, his stats and what he provided for the Warriors as one of the best wings still in the NBA. Because you're looking at these stats at what he did in 16-17. I know you guys are thinking, well, hell, he's not the same player he was in 16-17. You're wrong. He's better. He is still putting up these numbers that he did when he won a championship with the Golden State Warriors. 26 points a game. He had 27 averaging for the Phoenix Suns this year. 37% from the three-point line. He kept getting better throughout the years. His field goal percentage is roughly about the same, shooting about 51% this season with the Phoenix Suns. So clearly, after he returned from that Achilles tear, he was still producing the same numbers that he did with a championship-level team. But Kevin Durant decided to leave the Golden State Warriors organization. He went to Brooklyn. Now he's with the Suns. And when that time was rolling around, which you could argue was probably the biggest trade in NBA history, is Kevin Durant joining the already unthinkable, unimaginable Golden State Warriors roster. I think Kevin Durant needed the Warriors more than the Warriors needed KD. They won a ring without Kevin Durant. They won a ring after Kevin Durant. But he hasn't found success since he left the Bay Area, which is now these rumors sparking back up. Would he ever go back to the Golden State Warriors to retrieve that success that he once had? Because I don't have to tell you guys what he's been through since he left the Bay Area. But just in case you guys have been focused on the Warriors and not Kevin Durant, I'll recap your memory. He went to Brooklyn after leaving Golden State to quote-unquote create his own legacy. While that was never established, that's kind of where he was flowing. You had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. Kevin Durant wanted to see if he could take his own power, his own stats, put it to an organization, and win the same way he did in the Warriors, just without those players. So he recruited his own players, Kyrie Irving and James Harden. But he did request 2 trades before leaving Brooklyn. They did not suffice with those trades until they allowed him to go to the Phoenix Suns. I remember getting that notification, waking up at 1:30 in the morning to see Kevin Durant was finally traded to the Suns. And then they got swept in the first round with Booker and Beal. I do feel bad for Kevin Durant because I do think he has the type of capabilities to create his own legacy in Brooklyn, but he was handed Kyrie Irving not playing his best. He was handed James Harden also just kind of out of shape. Got Steve Nash as a coach. He finally goes to the Suns, and it's just not flowing the way that they thought it was. But it makes me wonder because the Warriors still won another ring without Kevin Durant. And I know KD tried to create his own thing in 2 separate organizations now, but clearly he needed the Warriors to have that success. And that was a big question mark after KD left. Will the Warriors ever win another ring? And they went back and did it in 2022. Alan Hahn of ESPN Radio did talk about maybe why Kevin Durant left in the first place, and here's why I think he possibly won't return to the Golden State Warriors, because he says NBA Twitter is what killed the Golden State Warriors dynasty. Because Kevin Durant paid too much attention to what was being said about him and how it's Steph Curry's team and how you're ring chasing, he paid way too much attention to that rather than just staying there where he was, a great fit, and they could have continued to win championships. I fully agree with this because of what Kevin Durant has said. He always comments on how he's not in the GOAT conversation, and he thinks he's not in the GOAT conversation because he went to Golden State, because he was called a snake, because everybody was like, you're ring chasing, you're going to Golden State because you want to win rings, knowing that's what pretty much a lot of NBA players do when they want to try to be a part of a dynasty. So since Kevin Durant listened to NBA Twitter and thinks his legacy is diminished by going to Golden State, there's no way in hell he's going to go back to Golden State now. He could have avoided all of that mess by just ignoring it, staying with the Warriors, continuing to win rings like Allen just said. But because he traded for him to go back, that's when I think that NBA Twitter would be at its highest, and his ego is too much to go backwards. So with that being said, do you think Kevin Durant made a mistake of leaving the Golden State Warriors in the first place? I know Bay Area fans loved KD in a Warriors uniform, and what he could have done with the Warriors would have been unthinkable. But he left, and he hasn't had success since. Do you think he made a mistake? Go ahead and let me know why or why not down below. Next, I'm going to talk about why I do not think Kevin Durant is coming back to the Golden State Warriors. I want you guys to stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I also want you guys to go on ahead and play Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You can play in over 30 different states across the country. When you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and you use that promo code CLNS, they're going to give you a first-time deposit match up to $100, but it's super easy to play as well. It takes little to no skill to just pick more or less on a player's projected stats. It takes less than 60 seconds. I make this before every single game. It's one of the first things I do when I put my backpack down, I head into the office, before I even start cooking up my scripts. I'm playing Prize Picks first. I got the Boston Celtics playing here tonight in Game 4 versus Miami Heat. I do have Derek White, who had a great game in Game 3, have more than 13 points. And I also have Jason Tatum having more than 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's been dominating the last 3 games here for the Boston Celtics. I also took the Brandon Ingram to have more than 16.5 points. If Prize Picks is ever going to give me a promotion where they're going to give me a discounted projected stats, I'm going to take it. 16.5 points for Ingram. Absolutely. If you also see players with that little star right there, if you do win this entry and all of them are correct, they will pay out more than up to 10% per star player that you have on your entry. So go on ahead and go to Prize Picks right now. Make your picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns here for a moment. Like I said, Phoenix Suns who just got swept by a very impressive Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference. But the Phoenix Suns right now have the 4th most expensive roster in the NBA. They've got Bradley Beal on there now with a no-trade clause. I highly doubt ever seeing them letting go of Devin Booker's salary, which is upwards of $45 million to $50 million, and now you're paying Kevin Durant over $50 million a year. The Suns have a lot of players to pay out, very high salaries. And with that being said, I don't think that they're going to end up trading away Kevin Durant because they've got too much on their plate right now that they have paid so much for to make this work. The Beal deal cost them several NBA draft picks, along with Chris Paul, and now they're going to be paying him $57 million in 2026-27 on that no-trade clause. The Suns, unfortunately, look like they may have to bite this bullet for one more season because they've put too much into a roster that has not given them success just yet. And with Kevin Durant, think about it, he's only been with the Suns for 15 months. Kevin Durant, who was begging the Brooklyn Nets to trade him to multiple teams while he was there. I think Kevin Durant is going to request a trade. I think he's going to request several from the moment that NBA regular season starts till it's finished. I do not think the Phoenix Suns will trade away Kevin Durant. If they prove me wrong, albeit that is okay. I'm not a GM. But because Kevin Durant didn't have one successful season, he's up and at it again saying he's not happy with the system that has provided to pay him the next couple of years. I think Kevin Durant, you made your bed. You decided to leave the Golden State Warriors. You tried to make your own thing in Brooklyn. It didn't work. Now you're jumping back to the West Coast, and you're still not successful. That's okay. The Warriors didn't make the playoffs the year after Kevin Durant left. Then they bounced back, and they won the NBA Finals. You just have to sit in what you made for a little while longer, which is why I don't think the Phoenix Suns are willing to give up one of the best wings in the NBA, all because he's not happy they didn't win. You shouldn't be happy. And while it seems unrealistic that the Suns do trade away Kevin Durant, I think it is more realistic that Kevin Durant would ever come back to the Warriors. He and Draymond aren't as good of friends as they were when Draymond recruited him the first time. And while I do think the Warriors do need a wing, and if you guys want to go into more detail on that, I talk about it in yesterday's video. They need a big, but they can also use a wing. And while you're not going to get KD caliber players right now because you can't get Kevin Durant, there are still pretty good wings out there right now in the NBA that you could actually vie for that would cost a lot less than somebody like Kevin Durant. It doesn't come with as much baggage as Kevin Durant would coming back to a team he originally left. OG Anunoby has a player option this upcoming season for the New York Knicks. While I do think the Knicks are probably going to come to terms with OG Anunoby, that's something to keep out for. Same thing with Paul George. While Paul George is more than likely going to decline his player option, that could be another landing spot for Paul George. DeMar DeRozan is probably going to be your most likely pickup in this offseason because the Chicago Bulls are just really trying to find their identity, and he's an unrestricted free agent. Mikal Bridges is a wing I would definitely trade players up for on the Golden State Warriors to obtain another high-level talent wing, but as you can see, player options, restricted free agents, trades, there are still several ways to get a wing that won't be Kevin Durant, but won't be Kevin Durant. Steph Curry knows the Warriors are going to make some offseason moves. He's already talked about it in several interviews, especially after he won the NBA's Most Clutch Player Award. He talked on the Warriors' future and says, when you lose, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what can we do to get better? What holes can we fill? And thankfully, we have some time to figure that out. So a lot of conversations with upstairs, with Coach Kerr, to try and figure out how to get back to that level we expect. I didn't answer anything specific about what we need, but we're going to figure that out over this summer. So Steph Curry is aware he's going to have some new teammates heading into the 2024-25 NBA regular season. Do I think that teammate will be Kevin Durant? Unfortunately, I don't. If they go against me and they end up doing it, I'm okay with that. But overall, I think Kevin Durant has to stay at Phoenix Suns for at least one more year. I don't think the Suns organization is going to be so willing to give him up after 15 months in an unsuccessful season. With that being said, I want you to name a wing you want on the Warriors. Maybe it can be Kevin Durant if you guys want, or there are several other wings out there that are free agents or they're on trade. So name a wing you want to come to the Golden State Warriors. While you guys drop that down below, go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. If Kevin Durant still happens to come back to the Warriors, I'll break it down here on Warriors Today by Chat Sports. Any other trade, I'm also breaking it down here on Warriors Today by Chat Sports. All you guys have to do is subscribe.